So Fabian Frankel, which is a lovely name.
I love the name Fabian. I do.
A House of the Dragon actor who plays Sir Christian Cole. Is that how you say it?
Sounds right. I'm only up through. I am up through episodes. I'm finally up through episode 3. I'm not caught up all the way.
I heard
to 5.
episode 4 is the absolute worst when it comes to like just repeated sexuality over and over.
3 wasn't like that, from what I remember. It was like the bad.
4 is what I've heard all about
right.
From the media. So he recently told Entertainment Weekly that him and the cast and an intimacy coordinator that they worked with prepared for his sex scene with Rhaenyra Targaryen for 7 months.
I mean, that's like preparing for your SATs.
I don't know.
I literally am picturing him in the mirror, like looking in the mirror at himself, like practicing.
Like American Psycho style.
Like he's like slicking his hair back. And,
literally just thrusting into the air. Like, what does it mean? What does it all mean? I don't understand. These people are crazy. And like one thing that the girl who played Rhaenyra, what was her name? Millie Alcock. She reportedly asked, how do we make this human? Which is such a lizard person thing to say. Like, all of this just sounds like lizard people activities.
I do not human very well. How do I human
How
better?
do we make human scene where intimacy happens?
Well, this is also the same that whenever I call out the vomit-inducing term when they're like, I was just looking to find the truth of the scene.
I hate it.
I don't
so
act
much.
to act. I act to find truth. And I'm like, you act to sound self-obsessed, narcissistic, and full of yourself.
Like, it's pretentious even if it's just an emotional dialogue scene, but when it's a sex scene that adds nothing to the plot...
Well, humans have sex, so it's already human. Sorry.
How is that warranted? Anyway, I'm just going to read the ridiculous quote from Frankel where he said... we talked about it for over 7 months. It was one of the first things I was very keen to talk about.
Very keen. He's like, as soon as Millie Alcock got hired, he's like, I can't wait to talk about sex scenes with her.
Now, it seems like Frankel wanted this to be awkward to watch. He said the big thing for me was about it not feeling like another gratuitous sweat glistening off their back sex scene, because it's just not like that. Anyone who's ever had sex will tell you it ain't that beautiful. It isn't some picturesque, amazing thing. It's awkward, especially when you're young. There's an uncomfortability that one has to sit in, and there's a discovery and understanding of each other's bodies.
Also,
not to mention the practical side of the whole thing.
Also, this is another person we could get, the poor PA who has to be there with the bottle. That has to spritz the actors. The sweat bottle person.
Love that.
Yeah, that's a thing.
Just after he inserts earwigs.
Yeah, he's like, I got my kielbasa. Right. I've got my sweat.
But those two are trading war stories. And it's like, I think I'd rather do the kielbasas. Like,
and they're like, no matter what, we can't leave a Starbucks cup visible anywhere on set.
Dude,
please.
You know that they probably hired a Starbucks cup like whisperer.
That's just their entire
It's just
job.
A basic bitch white chick from like the suburbs.
Who's so good at spotting the Starbucks.
She
like jumps on people if they leave a Starbucks cup anywhere.
She's like, I can smell pumpkin spice lattes from a mile away. You're not getting away with this today.
So clearly it's Frankel's goal to make this like not hot, right?
I really believe that when he was done, he's one more take, Frankel. He's just like, I think we need to shoot it one more time.
He said, I remember back and forth texts, back and forth phone calls, back and forth meetings between Claire Kilner, myself, Millie, and our intimacy coordinator. And he said that he wanted to specifically depict how long it would realistically take to remove his armor. So in the show, in the 4th episode of House of the Dragon, they're showing first an incestuous kiss scene between Rhaenyra and her uncle Daemon.
Yep.
After that happens, she comes home and decides that she is going to lose her virginity to Christian Cole, who guards her door at night.
Why?
I don't know.
Well, when you
I just don't know.
You know, clearly, like Uncle Damon got her going,
got her rejected, and now she's like, well, I'm just gonna lose. Like,
I guess that's
also,
like a rebellious thing.
Have we ever introduced this character before? Like, I don't get this plot point at all.
No,
Yeah.
like in the guards are supposed to take an oath of chastity.
I don't understand how it serves the plot, or how showing him removing his armor for 10 minutes would serve the plot. But
I want to know what the name of the group chat was. That's what I want to know.
I don't know. We gotta think of one.
House of Banging.
I feel like he's trying to be like weirdly sex positive, like be like, no, I'm like,
but also frame sex is like the worst thing ever.
Also, like, it just comes across as creepy. Like,
right.
There's not a version of this. Like, he's trying to sound like, no, let's be realistic. Like, sex is like this, and we're like, we don't want to make it too glamorous. And
he
but
said
it actually sounds like very skeezy.
It's about the struggle in every way. The struggle to get the armor off. The struggle of him to betray his vows. That's how I wanted to pitch it.
There's something to be said, okay, about the idea that he has this sense of duty, that the character has a sense of duty, honor, and has took an oath to not do this. I can see the storytelling, the beauty of the storytelling there. There's not 7 months of beauty in storytelling there. I'm sorry.
Right. I mean, how many conversations do you need to have about this?
He's like, no, tell me that again. But
Is
lower.
he like a major character?
No. He's not one of the main characters.
This is him trying to become very important. Like he's like he knows sex scenes are kind of like something that gets discussed.
They
about
share
House
a forum
or House of Dragons a lot. Like he's like, this way I'll have like a big point to the media and people will remember my name. Like this comes out after the whole thing about the girl who was 17 and she like he is kind of jumping on the I'm talking about intimacy coordinators bandwagon for publicity, it seems like.
Well, yeah, I mean, maybe this is introducing him to become a more major character in the future of the season.
Yeah, I feel like it's like a minor actor being like, he could just be conversation,
grabbing for attention, which is it is creepy because it involves somebody else who has to simulate having sex with you on camera, and it's not just about you. Like, it's not your scene, right?
It's their scene.
I don't know. He said, there's no way this armor comes off without the help. Knights would have squires, and squires would take off their armor. For even a world quality squire, you've got 10 minutes to get the armor off. Let's say 5 maybe at best. Like, he's done the research. There's no way Rhaenyra and Cole are going to take that armor off in 10 seconds. So I was like, well, you have to have that in. It's important that that's what it is. It's important that it's a struggle to get the armor off. We get it. It's heavy.
Any number of ways that this could be cut and edited around in post-production. It's not
I'm
that
going to
deep.
stand by my other theory of, like, he's a minor character. He's not an established actor. So he's like, well, you can't make the scene too short because it would mean... we'd have to take
then
off
I
my
have
armor,
less screen time in this big show.
Like, this is how you like it
plus
up. I mean, like, it'd be really hard to get my armor off.
This is a creative decision only.
This guy is just trying, and I applaud the effort. You know, it's not that I necessarily agree with what's going on, but like
he's just a cloud chaser.
This is about nothing.
He's like, you're besmirching my honor. I am not a 1 minute man. I am at least a 2.5 minute man.
No, that's like this guy earned more screen time by just pointing out the armor thing, which like not that I agree with everything that's going on here, but like that's crafty. You've got to acknowledge.
He's kind of saying, whether or not he's genuine in saying it, he's saying that if a sex scene isn't uncomfortable and awkward to watch for the audience, that it's archaic and cheesy.
I mean, is that a weird denunciation of the act of sex being an actual means of like two people who actually love each other, showing each other how much they love each other?
Yeah, he's only emphasizing how uncomfortable and weird he thinks sex is. It's just
I feel
weird.
Might say more about who he is as a person.
Yeah, betraying his own feelings.
I feel like it's similar to criticism. Like when you read criticism of like how easily accessible pornography is, like one of the things is it gives both, especially young men, but men and women, an unrealistic expectation of what sex is like. And the same criticism is often applied to movies, that it seems like perfect lighting or it seems like whatever, and that it creates this disingenuous understanding of sex that ultimately harms intimacy between partners. You know what I mean?
Nobody has been left in lurch more than pizza delivery men.
Yeah, they have no idea what's going on. I kind of get that aspect of it. It's just that, like, I feel like this is actually some guy who's trying to stay relevant. Like, maybe that's a mean.
Possibly. It's also intimacy coordinators perpetuating the need for intimacy coordinators.
It's like the bloated,
because otherwise they would have no job.
Yeah, it's like the bloated administrative state of the movie industry.
So Miriam Lucia is the name of this whole show's intimacy.
Still waiting to find out if there's any male intimacy coordinators.
Like, I want to know if
the answer is no.
If she bills by the hour, right? So the fact that they had 7 months worth of conversation, she's like, yeah, keep it up. Let's talk about it. The armor,
let's
the
get
buckles.
my salary.
I charge by the group text.
Yeah,
right.
Like, that would be.
She's
hilarious.
on call.
She's not salaried. She basically gets paid like a consultant. So she's like, yeah, keep texting me.
Because they talk about her like she is a therapist. These actresses and actors talk about her like she is an on-set therapist and like consultant at any time they want. So Sean Bean of Game of Thrones, we already covered this, but he said that intimacy coordinators and just coordination of intimate scenes in general, quote, spoils the spontaneity of those scenes.
Well, that's one of the classic. He's like, I'm getting to the truth of the character, and the truth is we're having sex.
Yeah, and like I'm not sure I agree with his take on it
I
either.
know, right?
They're all just weirdos. But
I see his way as being more of a time long forgotten, and like
that's kind of what they're saying.
The lawsuits are just too new. It's like he's just appeared back in society now and forgot Harvey Weinstein was even a thing.
Yeah,
or that any number of directors or Cary Fukunaga.
That whole thing,
he's like, I live in a world where none of this happened, and there is no need to
like,
check
good
up
for
on
you,
me.
I guess.
Well, there is no need for you to check up on me and make sure that I'm not, getting handsy with the actresses. He may be the exception, but
it was
he's not
also
the rule.
funny that his excuse was being a true romantic because he's been married like 5 times.
I'm truly romantic all the time, 5 times every 5 years.
He's really pulling an Adam Levine. He's just crossing boundaries everywhere.
Yes, Adam Levine got caught cheating on his.
Unconfirmed,
scandalous.
But that is the claim.
Well, no, the thing I saw was it said that he didn't have an affair, but he did cross the line. I was like, does that mean like he just
whatever that means?
He did the lady once, but not more than once, which qualifies an affair as an affair.
We'll
also,
find out.
The lady's name was Sumner.
And then he messaged her and was like, if my baby's a boy, I want to use that name. Is that cool with you? That's like the whole thing. Everyone's like,
yikes.
Sumner is not a real name. It's just Summer, but you sneezed in between.
I think it's a last name because I've known a couple Sumners, but they're always from the South.
Anyways.
There is a Sumner.
The House of the Dragon intimacy coordinator wanted to respond after the fact to Sean Bean's comments to, I believe it was the Sunday Times. She said, I love him as an actor, and I've just watched Marriage. He's great in that. They always have to qualify it, like any director, any actor.
He's fantastic.
They're great in that. They're great in this and that, whatever.
But
he said, I just think he's a man of a certain age who has been in this industry for a very long time, and he doesn't have an experience of the other side. Or maybe he's had a bad experience of working with an intimacy coordinator. All I would say is that in my experience so far, I don't think it gets in the way of the creative process. I think it helps to enable the creative process because once you've worked out what the actors are comfortable with in terms of touch and consent and what the movements are going to be, then you add the emotion to it. And then you find the freedom because you're not scrambling and fumbling and trying to find it there and then in the moment.
Those sound like contrary
I have
statements.
no idea what I just read.
The point they're making there
I invented myself a job.
Yeah.
The point there is, well, it's just a HR rep.
It's just like
You're
the more
you're a special-
uncomfortable everyone is, the more reason I have to be here and get paid to be
I just
here.
Googled this girl. Her name's Miriam Lucia. She has a website. She's an actor, acting coach, and intimacy coordinator. And she's been on The Crown. She was in Guardians of the Galaxy. And
Has she played anyone notable?
I'll look at it. I'm not
see.
super. I mean, I watched The Crown, but I don't really know anything else.
I don't actually disagree with anything she said in that first
It's
part
at
until
least
the
not
part about
condemning
freedom.
him the way that Jamila Jamil did.
Jamila sucks.
Or Rachel Zegler
Rachel
also
Zegler
came
sucks.
after him when he said those things. And like clearly he's just like clueless about the shifting sensitivities in Hollywood, and he has his genuine opinion. I'm not sure if I even agree with it, but at least this intimacy coordinator hadn't she gave him a fair shake, right?
he has more power over the intimacy coordinator than he does over Jamila Jamil and Rachel Zegler.
She has basically looked like she's been like kind of a background character.
Yeah.
Like on The Crown, she played an Australian TV reporter.
Okay.
Okay.
I looked her up initially because I wanted to see like how does one become qualified to become an intimacy coordinator.
Yep.
You know,
It's an accredited thing now in
but
Hollywood.
I don't see it.
Like
she's been a dialogue coach, a dialect coach, and then the first time she's listed as an intimacy coordinator.
Sign up for a position as an intimacy coordinator.
See,
it says like on a TV show.
My guess about intimacy coordinators was always that they are not just that, they also have been on set for other reasons and done other jobs, and they're just like, they choose that as one of their freelance.
They're HR.
They're essentially like HR reps.
They're
for
like you're
studio.
agreeable and you're around. What makes you qualified to be an intimacy coordinator? Like, it's not even clear to me that she herself has performed in an intimacy scene. Maybe she doesn't need to be an intimacy coordinator, but like, just as a pure like out of curiosity, like why?
And what she claims she does, it's interesting because it sounds entirely impossible. She said, "We have to pretend that we have never done this before. We have to suggest that everything is spontaneous. You have a script, so you don't come out with these words spontaneously. You have to work on it so that it appears to be spontaneous." That's where it doesn't make sense to me what he said about Sean Bean's comments. I mean, it really just depends on how you want to make those scenes, but my take has always been that those scenes cannot be done correctly, and they also don't fit. They don't make sense in storytelling. They don't actually advance a plot. They're usually done for like seeming risque in the promotion of the show, and making up headlines just like this one.
Two of my favorite shows of all time, White Collar and Burn Notice, show almost no scenes like
and
that.
it's not that they lack.
Burn Notice is fantastic.
It's not that they lack sex appeal or like a will they won't they thing.
Well, in that show, he's has an on again off again relationship with a main character named Fiona.
Yeah.
And then she starts dating someone in season 3, and then they finally like hook up again in like an episode in season 3, and you don't see it. You don't need to. It's not important. It's
because that was like made in a more sane time, which wasn't even that long ago.
And it was made for like TV that had commercials. It's made for cable, right? Like,
yeah.
And now that streaming's taking over,
can
it's
permit
not like
different
that
things,
anymore.
yeah.
They're like, whoops, no ad to put here.
Now
Guess we
they're
better put naked people.
mandating these
not new.
nude scenes.
That's
and
been
nudity.
going on for a long time, but yeah, that's very much a network thing now, where they're like, that's great, but could you do it naked?
And it's creepy. And like we said, they had a 17-year-old on their cast agree to do a sex scene before she even was a legal adult. Like, it's crazy the things that they are doing in broad daylight.
Or the girl from the first Game of Thrones who
grew up on the set.
Who grew up on
Like,
set and
that's
then
so creepy
then did it at the end. It's like totally normal.
Maisie something.
Maisie Williams.
She'd been on Game of Thrones since she was 11.
So
and it went on for so long that she got old enough and they were like, we're going to have you do a sex
like
scene.
that is the definition of grooming.
That's so creepy. I mean, like,
I wonder if she was on set during. I wonder if she was present during the scenes that they filmed. I would love to know how they did that. If that was closed, I'm assuming those were closed.
Usually, intimate
sets.
like sex scenes are filmed on like extremely closed sets.
Okay, so fun.
Hopefully, yeah.
Fun. This is great. It's like I said, could they just get back to telling decent stories and not make it about bigger social issues and not make it so gratuitous all the time? I don't care. The gratuitous that doesn't bother me, but I do think it gets in the way of storytelling. Like, I'm not prudish and I don't really care if they do it, but I've found that 90% of the time it's taking up time that could be spent on more aspects of the story.
I think they're the prudish and rather puritanical ones because they want to sanitize depictions of intimacy to the point where they're not even seen as sexually appealing anymore, but they're seen as like awkward and uncomfortable
because that's
and
the
painful
truth of it.
to watch because you're getting to the truth of it, like the struggle. I think they're the anti-sex ones. Like, they're anti the appeal of sex.
The pretentiousness of it always.
They're anti-hotness.
Kind of.
Like, in every way. The media is now anti-hotness.
And that is a bad thing.
That's what we were talking about with G4 TV. Like, you can't even be casted on
No,
network
no.
television for being good looking anymore.
Well, that's a problem.
What's going to happen when news anchors are like they decide news anchors shouldn't be conventionally attractive anymore?
That's a problem. Like,
Has that happened yet?
I
don't
follow
know.
a couple of like, it's really funny.
Is this the last
I follow,
bastion
like-
of like hot women on TV?
I follow this one random like report. She's like an anchor for like a news station in San Francisco that I will never see, and I'd never even heard her talk because I just watched her like TikToks and her Instagram
Because she's hot.
because she's hot. And she makes funny videos.
What happened to that?
She makes funny videos where she makes like Instagrams, and her co-host absolutely hates it. Like the co-host on the show, and all the videos are of him just being annoyed by her being like. And I found that endearing and fun. And then finally,
Who do you identify with in that scenario?
both of them.
Are you the girl or is Mary the girl? Like,
Wait, are we news anchors now?
what I'm saying is like he's the grumpy coworker. We're like, Brett, bleach your hair, change colors, and he's
Definitely, Brett is the curmudgeon of this show.
That
even
would
though
be-
I have all of the opinions that a curmudgeon would have, and you're like more free spirited
Yes.
and like care about letting people do what they want and live their lives as they will.
See, how hard is it to define people when we can't even honestly define who we are in such simple terms?
Well, like your personality is the curmudgeon, but I have all the curmudgeon-y opinions.
You're like, I'm a curmudgeon.
That's why we make sense.
Yes. Mary's like, I'm a curmudgeon. That's what her personality is. She's like, hey, I have extremely curmudgeon opinions.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, do whatever you want. It's fine. I don't care.
Get off my lawn.
Yeah,
Get off
basically-
my pop culture lawn.
Exactly. See, one day I will own a lawn for no other reason so that I can like I don't want to become a homeowner for the American dream. I want to become a homeowner just so I can tell people to get the
the
hell off my
curmudgeon
lawn.
dream.
I can't wait.
Yes. Thanks for watching this clip, guys. If you want to see full episodes or follow us on social media, links are in the description below. Bye.
Bye.